Far to the north lies an ancient haunted land, where vampires stalk the streets of sprawling cities, werewolves hunt through darkened forests, and the unquiet dead plague the dreams of the living. Welcome, Pathfinders. Today we'll be talking about the immortal principality of Ustalav. Let us look back at the history of the nation to see how it became the hallowed land that it is today. Ustalav was founded over 2,000 years ago by the legendary hero Solvidia Ustav, who drove out the native orcs and Kelid human tribes to make way for the Varetian people to settle. With his victory, he named the land the Kingdom of Ustalav, and elevated his allies and lieutenants to nobles in his new realm. For more than 500 years, the nation slowly grew, but with its rise to power came jealousy and infighting amongst the clannish Varetians and the noble families. To prevent this growing civil war, the reigning monarch, King Kaldemov, divided the nation into 16 counties. Each region was appointed a count, who ruled with autonomy, but owed allegiance to the throne. In this way, the Kingdom of Ustalav knew peace, and for 300 years came into a golden age of prosperity. But all good things in time must come to an end. This age of peace was shattered by the rise of the whispering tyrant, the Lich King Tar-Baphon. Some 1,500 years ago, this undead lord set about conquering the land of Ustalav by raising an army of orcs from the whole of Betskin and calling up legions of the undead from beneath the very soil of the land. The people of Ustalav put up a desperate defense, but to no avail. For each soldier lost was just added to the overwhelming army of the dead they faced. And so, after only 3 years, the Whispering Tyrant had succeeded in conquering the whole of the land. Those who survived the war became his slaves, and the once proud kingdom became a nightmare realm of the dead. For over 600 years, the Whispering Tyrant reigned supreme over the land and its subjugated people, until the nation of Taldor grew concerned that Ustalav would prove a threat to future expansion. So, in 3754, Taldor launched what is now known as the Shining Crusade against the Lich King. Soldiers from across the vast nation of Taldor marched on the haunted land, joined by the dwarves of the Five Kings Mountains and the elves of Kionin and the famed knights of Ozine, led by the then mortal Iomade. A decades-long war was waged that eventually led to the defeat of the immortal tyrant, who was bound beneath his fortress tower of Gallows Spire. The land was restored to its people, though the corruption left behind by the Whispering Tyrant still plagues the nation to this day. The Kingdom of Ustalav was rechristened the immortal principality of Ustalav. And while the nation has greatly recovered, it has been a slow process. The line of Ustav has been broken, and so the crown fell to Andrados Orandin, who became the first prince of Ustalav. Over the last 900 years, Ustalav has repopulated and risen as a bastion of civilization in the savage north of Avestan. But it has not been an easy process. Orc hordes have constantly plagued the nation, and deadly horrors left over from the reign of the Whispering Tyrant stalk the land. Cults and secret societies are abundant, and the people have become insular and superstitious. So, with an understanding of the history, we can now look at the nation as it is at the present. The Ustalav of today is in a state of upheaval. The past few decades have seen 3 counties who have overthrown their counts to become self-governing, followed by a 6-year war between 3 other counties, and even a change of its capital. The current prince, Adward Orthain III, is a disinterested monarch ill-prepared for the crown, and with a challenger to the throne in the form of his supposed nephew, Renus Orthain. Of the 16 original counties, only 13 remain. These lands can be split into 3 distinct regions. The first region is Svoboda, which makes up the majority of the nation and is still ruled by the noble families appointed by King Kaldemov in the Age of Enthronement. In the center of Ustalav, we have Amons. It is a mostly wild, mist-shrouded land of mountains and valleys with its few inhabitants huddled in small villages along the shores of Lake Cavapesta. Here they spread stories of the horrible creatures and dark beings that stalk the wilderness. Northeast of Amons is the county of Ardil. The largest city of the county Artist was the capital of Ustalav for over 2,000 years, until the heart of the nation was moved to the south. Now, both the city and the land around it have become a place of faded glory and slowly crumbling greatness. Even further north is the county of Odrantu. This county has long protected the nation from the barbarians of the north, many of these the descendants of those driven out by Ustalav millennia ago. The land is dotted with ancient castles, many of which are occupied by Slavic soldiers, and some of which are now home to much fouler things. To the east from here we find Sinerdia, whose capital city of Krakow is famed for its opera and gifted musicians. Outside the city is a wild land covered in cold swamps and thick forest, leading most of its inhabitants to live in the fertile lands near Lake Proparia. Moving south, we find Bostoi, a prosperous land but stern, filled with jagged hills and abundant salt mines, and is well managed by its government and well protected by black-armored soldiers and Pharasman inquisitors. Criminals are rare in the county, as every crime carries the same penalty: death. To the southeast of Bostoi is the county of Varno. Here we find thick forests, deep lakes, and verdant fields of orchards and vineyards. While it may seem idyllic at first, not everything is perfect in Varno. The weather here is strange, some may even say supernaturally so, unpredictable. Seasons of plenty are oftentimes followed by years of famine without warning. This has made the inhabitants here some of the most superstitious in all of Ustalav. Looking west, we find Versax. This county is rich in minerals but poorly suited to farming, and as such most of its people are miners or traders, plying the waters of Lake Incarthen. Its towns are small and insular communities that generally are distrusting of outsiders. Even further to the west, we find the Hungry Mountains, atop which lies the county of Olkazar, the smallest and least populous county in Ustalav. Beyond the hermits that call the mountain home, the only inhabitants of note are the Pharasman monks, who live in the monastery of the Vel. South of the Hungry Mountains is the county of Foss, the political and economic heart of Ustalav. Its largest city is also called Foss, and the recently crowned capital of the nation. The lands surrounding the city are filled with small communities of artisans, as well as vineyards, perfumeries, and alabaster quarries. Northwest of all of these counties that make up the region of Solvidia, we have the Palatinates, which make up a third of the country. Unlike the counties in Sovodia, the three counties here have shrugged off the role of a regional count and turned instead to a rule by a council of citizens. The largest of the three Palatinate counties is Loziri. It was the first county to oust its count in a relatively non-violent coup. The land is known mostly for its massive shutterwood, the largest forest in Ustalav, and the elaborate hunts that the wealthy citizens engage in. The second county to join the Palatinates was Wieland, whose count chose to willingly step down. It is perhaps most well known for the ancient stone monoliths that dot the land, predating even the founding of Ustalav. The county seat of Lepidstadt also houses an internationally renowned university that specializes in a variety of sciences. The third Palatinate county is Canterwall, the breadbasket of Ustalav. The farms of this county provide nearly half of the crops that feed the rest of the nation. In addition to this responsibility, the land must constantly guard against incursions of orcs from the hold of Bekskin. The final region contains only one county, Virlich. This county surrounds Gallowspire, the prison of the Whispering Tyrant. The lands around this cursed tower are lifeless and haunted, poisoned by the necromantic energy held within the fortress tower. No sane people live in Virlich, as the land is racked by unnatural storms and haunted by the restless dead. The land here stands as a testament to centuries of horror the rest of the nation would rather forget. And that concludes our look at the immortal principality of Ustalav, the fog-shrouded land of Gothic horror. I hope this knowledge helps you in the adventures to come. Good luck, Pathfinders.